Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of The Philosopher, the Stoic, and the Teddy Bear. The Philosopher is absent today. I'm taking on the moderating duties. It is Tuesday, March 31st. This is episode 44. A big thank you to our loyal viewer who helped put together that new intro. We've heard your complaints. The last one, people said it sounds like someone's peeing for 5 minutes, so we went and changed it. JP, how's it going, man?
Good, brother. Good to be back.
Yeah. What a time to be alive in this country, in this world. Where do you want to start? Like, should we start in the Middle East, Canada?
Let's talk about the Carney thing. I know very, very little about it, but I'm curious to hear what you know about it.
Yeah, somebody shared me as if I was having a not so bad day. And then she sent me this clip of Carney talking about carbon tax with the purpose being Agenda 30 by 30 or whatever. I think that's 30% of the land locked up by the year 2030. So I'm just going to give a quick primer. Back like in the 90s, these green zealots, they tried to pass something called the Biodiversity Treaty, where they said that it's going to lead to cleaner air, cleaner water, kumbaya, and it almost passed. And a professor got a hold of a senator and he showed him a map. He goes, if you pass this, all these red areas in America will be no-go zones. Like the entire country of America was littered with all of these red lines. And that's what he wants. And he just unveiled it today. And I don't think any Canadian even cares about what I'm saying.
That's the state, it seems, of apathy or demoralization. Even the people that are paying attention, like you don't know where to start. There's so many things. And you keep asking yourself, like, okay, well, Canadians are going to get involved here soon. They're going to get active. You're seeing all of these problems and all of these just very sensational things, like the land expropriation for UNDRIP. I mean, all of the speech laws, the Orwellian speech laws, like that's the craziest, man. Like we're coming and they're putting up the Iron Curtain in Canada, and it doesn't even seem relevant. No one's speaking about it. No one has an opinion on it. And this is just the next phase of the agenda, right? It's bad enough that Canada's been pretty much deindustrialized at this point. Now they're going to lock up all this land and push people towards the urban areas, it's not a good scene.
You know, I mentioned that before we went live, that they're trying to push people out of the countrysides and into the urban centers. And in the last few years, everyone's panicking that, 15-minute cities, you're going to have lockdowns. Now it's energy lockdowns. Elizabeth Nixon, who writes Absurdistan, she wrote a fantastic article. And she said that, I guess she wrote a book where she went through the U.S. and every time she went there and she talked to people who lost everything, had to move out of the countrysides. She traced it back to some green program from like the Rockefeller Foundation or the Tide Foundation. So it's a coordinated effort. It seems like it's on the left. It might be just, billionaires taking advantage of us, but they're passing laws, they're passing regulations. They are protesting in such a way to push people off the land and into the urban centers. You will own nothing and be happy. All of that is tied up in one neat bow. And what you said as well, the industrialization.
Well, it's all predicated on anthropogenic climate change. It's all predicated on something that's been very much, we'll say, challenged. But I mean, I believe it's been debunked in a variety of ways. Ultimately, I hear people calling it photosynthesis denialism. Human carbon is not contributing to climate change. I mean, there's lists of relevant academics and scientists that have proved this. And they're kept out of the conversation. It's like kind of a manufactured consensus they have, where it's only the only scientists that are relevant are the scientists that agree with them, and probably the people that fund their studies. But yeah, it's all the rest of the world. You looked at Trump with his speech in New York at the UN delegation. He blew the lid off of it. He said it's nonsense. You people are ruining your countries with this stuff. I mean, and like there's a lot of countries that are seemingly pulling away from this. I mean, we're here just Look at what they're doing in Iran and in Russia and in Ukraine with these massive bombs and missile strikes. And we're over here with paper straws. And now they're going to further deindustrialize Canada. They're going to lower the quality of life for the people. And the premise is climate change because of carbon. Like, I mean, I don't know, man. It's just you're shocked at how passive and how submissive Canadians seem. They're just, or sleeping. I mean, maybe they're just asleep.
I want to talk about Trump. We'll stay on the Canada topic, but related to that, everyone is saying, and you and I have said this to a certain extent, that Trump was in on it. It was all performative. I think Trump made a mistake where he took on two goals, two aims. The first one was to dismantle globalism. The second one was to promulgate American imperialism. So the neocons, the Zionists. And I think he bit off more than he could chew. Like, that is ambitious. Any one of those is ambitious, but doing two at the same time. And he almost, like, I would say he succeeded in the first one with everything he did and dismantling it. But the second one fucked him over.
I think there was a lot of people vying for influence in this administration. I think it's a very relevant point after Butler. The Adelsons made a big donation, Miriam Adelson. We've mentioned this, about $150 million to the campaign. A lot of analysts at that point said, well, Trump's been captured and he's going to war with Iran. When going to war with Iran seemed ludicrous, people were calling this, famously Nick Fuentes, who I believe is an op. I think all of these people are like CIA or intelligence of some aspect. I really do. But it seems like there was different forces that were vying for influence. I think it's relevant too that Doge was ended. Elon Musk had a bizarre black eye. They gave him an award and he was done. The next day he says Trump's on the Epstein files. Like, there's some conflict behind the scenes that we don't know the details of, but we're seeing the effect of it. And at this point, all of the original MAGA people are gone. They, and it's like people that were never Trumpers, Mark Levin, Ben Shapiro, all of these people are like the new MAGA. And you're watching this fight online, and it's crazy to watch, man. I'm a firm believer that Trump tried. I think there was a lot of varying interests that were trying to push him, and I think clearly the Zionists won. It seems abundantly clear now. A lot of people are still afraid to say that, but I got to call it as I see it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of it's just, we can talk about this too, but it's strange that all of a sudden overnight it's okay to talk about Zionism, whereas before it would gotten you assassinated. But it's not even that it's Zionism. Like, I use the word American imperialism, like this concept that America has to be the hegemon. That's why they went into Venezuela, and that's why he went into Iran. And I get it. I mean, you're the prime reserve currency. You got whatever 33, 38 trillion in debt, and you got to keep being the prime reserve currency. But I really think that up until Butler, Pennsylvania, his aim was taking out the globalists. And then after that, as you mentioned, Miriam Adelson comes in with $100 million, and they basically bought him out.
It makes you wonder what was that, because we still never got any details on the kid that was in the BlackRock commercials. Coincidentally, everyone that took a shot at Trump was in a BlackRock commercial, which just adds to the mystique. But we didn't get any real information regarding that, and that's when everything seemed to change. So, I mean, now this is totally speculation, and obviously I got to qualify most of this as conjecture. We don't know. We're trying to make an analysis on things that we can't entirely see. We only have some pieces of the puzzle. But I got the impression that he was sat down then. Maybe the whole thing was staged. A lot of people think it was like the WWE. It was just a staged event. But I mean, people died on scene. I think maybe they sat him down and told him, like, look, God knows how it works. I mean, I don't think it's merely just blackmail. I think there's I think they're gangsters at the end of the day. And it's like, look, man, I'll kill your whole family if you don't go along with this agenda. And I think that's very possible or plausible, right? That's the level of control. They're not willing to lose. But everything changed after that moment for Trump. And then you've seen some of his picks, like Rubio was suspicious right away. And then Pete Hegseth, who's like a ravenous Christian Zionist. like ravenous, just believes the rapture, building the third temple, all of the dispensational nonsense. And it's just, you're seeing it. It seems like a parody, man. I feel like I'm watching satire. Same sensation I get when I watch the Junos or the NDP convention, right? It's just the antithesis of it. It's in the other direction.
Man, that NDP convention, self-governed, he and I were talking about this. He says that they're intentionally doing that to implode the NDP party. And at this point, I'm willing to believe anything. Like they realize they're sort of at the end. They can do whatever they want. They've demoralized and just like they've tired everybody out. Nobody's putting up any resistance. They can do anything. So they're just sitting around. They're like, all right, let's get the NDP out. They did good in the 50s, but in the 60s, we switched over to the Liberals anyway with the Fabians. And we don't really need the NDP. It's just too messy. We got the Conservatives. They'll do whatever we want them to do to keep the populists out. Let's run this like an engineering firm. We don't need democracy. It's messy.
Yeah, and I don't think it's relevant anymore. I don't think it has been in a long time. I think there's vested interests that control both main parties, and I think when people get in there, they have to compromise. I'm not insinuating that every MP is greasy, but I think it's systemically corrupted. So, I mean, once you get in there, if you're going to, it's like we've spoken to a lot of people and they say this, if you don't have kind of malleable integrity, if you're not willing to go along with their agenda, you won't get far. You won't get your next appointment. You won't get your next election donation. So, I mean, it's very much locked down. But as the NDP, man, I think I think that's organic. Like, these people are legit. These people are the victims of a very concerted psychological operation, which I believe woke is the psyop. I really do. I think a lot of people they were captured by these narratives and the whole aspect of it just overwhelmed their faculties. And I mean, I think we're seeing like the real effects of this. Like, some of these people, like, these are real people. It's kind of hard to fathom, but like, these people exist, and of course they would be in the NDP.
I mean, the NDP has always been like a crackpot party. If you read their constitution, they have the word social democrat and democratic socialism. They're an activist party. I'm watching this convention, and they kept using the word the workers' party. We are the workers' party, because I'm thinking they're thinking that somebody working at an assembly line in Maple Leaf Factories is going to look at the lady with the pink hair and a septum ring. He's like, yeah, that's right. That lady represents my values. These people not realize, like, the amount of work that you have to not do to have enough free time in a day to figure out under what context would you sleep with somebody that's the 37th gender as opposed to the 64th gender.
Yeah, it's just really hard to believe that we're here. And again, it truly does seem like satire. But that's the left for you. It's with the introduction of all of these ideologies and all of these, like, we're representing marginalized communities with the new woke value system that they've kind of adopted. They lost the working class, and the conservatives are losing the working class too. So, I mean, there's a massive group of working Canadians that are just fed up. We're like, the economy is hurting everyone, but working people are feeling it the most. There's no home ownership, there's no rentals. Like, you have to share small spaces with people just to scrape by. It's really bad. So, I mean, I figure nationalist options are going to start to come up, and populist options are going to start to capture the working class. That's who I think, because, like, we're all starting to see that it's rigged. And no matter who, like, look at Pierre Poilievre goes on Joe Rogan, the biggest podcast ever, and it might as well have been Justin Trudeau with the shit he was saying. It was just that same, feckless milquetoast conservatism that's, like, indistinguishable from progressivism. It's just pretty shocking, man.
Yeah, I struggle these days to even share my views, because I you get that fire hydrant effect where you have a million things you want to say. Do we even have a working class? I get the impression that they are creating bureaucratic jobs for Canadians to keep them happy, and then they're bringing in immigrants, foreign workers, to work basically as a slave labor force. And I think they just figured, guys, like, we don't need these hardworking people. these dummies, these morons that are working, 18 hours a day. Why don't we just focus on the 11 new bureaucrat positions in every office building, every room of every hospital in Canada?
Well, this is what happened. Just the fact that we have temporary foreign worker programs as an option, that stagnates the wages, because now a company, if you have a job advertisement for 6 months and it doesn't get filled, now you can bring someone into the country and have them fill that job. It's crazy, and that it creates just mad stagnation for working class wages. It's like wage suppression. And then at the same time, they're not reinforcing any infrastructure to bring these people in. So they're overburdening the healthcare, and especially it's having a ramification in the housing and rental markets, which are just inflated beyond belief, and they're unaffordable for Canadians now, for working Canadians especially. And that's what I say. You see, everyone I know, man, who's working, like I work in a factory, and most people like have a roommate, or they have a situation where it makes it more easy for them to get by kind of stacking up on one another. That's what we've been reduced to. And it's of course, it's not what was the causational factor for that. It was the temporary foreign worker programs, the prevalence of them.
Yes. However, they control, like, all the corrective measures that exist in our form of government, they control. So the media that's supposed to be shining a light on this, they are the media, and they've turned it into propaganda. The court system that's supposed to be adversarial to the government, well, they're part of the government. The prosecutors that are supposed to be adversarial to the government, they're not going to prosecute government. They want the promotion to become a judge. I mean, what else do we have? The law enforcement, the membrane between law enforcement and the elected officials, that's been perforated, and now they've fused into one. So their ability to destroy things unimpeded, it's gone from a matter of one election cycle to multiple generations, maybe.
Yeah, and it's to the point now where there is like, what are Canadians going to do when they truly turn on us? It's like they're taking firearms now. I think on October 31st, I seen a clip where Giri Adhan Sandre, the Sri Lankan gentleman, member of parliament, they were asking him, a conservative MP was asking him, what's your recourse after this time limit runs off, because you've only collected like 2% of the firearms. It was a massive failure. Like, what are you going to do? And he said, well, we're going to have police departments and RCMP enforce the law. So he asked him directly, so you're going to have police officers go door to door to collect people's private property? And he said, well, we'll have retired police officers and people with experience to do it. So it's like, oh my God, they're going to bring in like they're going to make a force to do this. Like, this is, you look, I challenge everyone watching, like, just Google what happens historically. What is the precedent that happens to a population after their government disarms them? And you'll see right away, it'll say democide. Like the systemic abuse happens, the subjugation occurs. And this is not my theory. This is just history. This is a precedent in history that we've seen. It's crazy, man. We got to wake up, and we don't got time to do it. Like, I think like citizens groups at this point, like at least group together with your neighbors, get to know your neighbors, maybe some like-minded individuals, families, and branch out from there. But like, if things get really bad, like you want to be prepared in some sense.
It's very difficult to make small sacrifices. What do I mean by small sacrifice? If you live in a city and you have a unit, a property that you're renting out, year after year, it's getting worse. The tenancy board is taking an adversarial stance against you. And year after year, your property taxes are going up. And then you see this Cowichan land ruling, Musqueam tribe. You see this, but the cost, that, like, even the psychological shock of selling it and moving out to the countryside and, I don't know, becoming a plumber or something that's sustainable, you would rather just incrementally things get worse.
Yeah, man. It's again, I say this frequently, but I find like every day I have to step back a little bit just to contextualize everything, just to kind of frame it to a point, because we've normalized the madness. Like, you're in the storm. We've been in the storm for years, and you don't realize, or let's say you don't appreciate how absurd and just how surreal some of this stuff is. And I think that's a lot of Canadians. Again, you say apathy or complacency. Maybe some are demoralized, but at the same time, the ecosystem of information has never been more convoluted. So like a lot of people like you and I, we spend like way too much time obsessively researching and going over all of the different news items and trying to theorize on what's going on. But most people aren't like that. They don't even have the curiosity to do that, but they realize there's a problem. And then they come onto these social media platforms and they get sucked into one narrative. They get sucked into one of these dichotomies or dialectics. You know what I mean? It's right versus the left. They get on there and it's those dumb libs. It's the cons. And it's just such a joke. It's like, it's so bigger than that. It's like, it's the bankers. Ultimately, if you want to say it, like, they've subverted all the governments of the West. And now they're like bringing us to another world conflict. Like we're in a rough spot here. And the most disconcerting aspect is most Canadians just have no fucking clue.
I guess to give some positive news, somebody shared with me, it might have been self-governed, the UK Home Office, I guess that's their gay name for the law enforcement there. They said that they're no longer going to go after non-criminal speech, which is strange because I thought all the speech was considered criminal now in the UK. I think that's their way of saying, all right, we messed up. And that's not because they had a come to Jesus moment. I think they see the gas shortages coming with the closing of the Strait of Hormuz. So if you're in the UK, put up your Iranian Islamic flag and thank the Ayatollah for spanking Trump and indirectly giving you back your rights.
So hard times have the tendency of kind of breaking these luxury beliefs. Like once like we're seeing this energy crisis that's looming, it's like, well, we gotta get real on it. Which again, I did see what you were referencing. I did see that release. I mean, I don't know if I even trust it. So now people are going to go out and say something and just get picked up right away. It's like, well, I thought you guys weren't going to do that. No, the law is the law. But I mean, it seems a little too late and not quite enough as far as I'm concerned. But I mean, yeah, it's going to get hard, man. This energy crisis has so many potential repercussions. Like you're hearing now, and you mentioned it a little while ago, these energy lockdowns. It's like COVID all over again. Like that's their answer. Well, we're not going to waste energy, so everyone just stay home. And it's like that's not a good sign, man.
Can you imagine? Like they make you wear a mask. Oh, you're going to the bathroom, sir? We are in an energy lockdown. You have to wear a mask. I could see them doing that. I could see Canadians, they'd come up with some BS excuse and Canadians would somehow believe it. Like if I was Ashley Carney, I'd sit down with the Gary the Communist Hamster in his cabinet, smoking a doobie, and they're like, guys, let's see how far we can push these losers. Like, let's one up Trudeau and let's see if we can do an energy lockdown with masks.
Well, it's just, I think they probably know at this point what they can and can't get away with. Like they've tested us. They probably have AI behavioral models on what's the likelihood. They're probably running scenarios on it. We're probably giving them data. But yeah, man, at this point, whatever they suggest, Canadians will seemingly go along with it. It's just the mass formation. It's still there. We're so susceptible to it. And the susceptibility, like the biggest mechanisms they utilize to manipulate our behavior are these dialectics. I call them dialectics. It's not a classic Hegelian dialectic, but this right-left shit. It's like a slave dialectic. When people kept slaves in the southern states in America, they said they would pit them against one another. Why would they do that? To prevent solidarity. So I mean, they keep them fighting, like groups within to prevent them from taking over or realizing that they have far more in common and together they're far more powerful. Like that's the way they do this. Quigley mentioned this too in oh my God, the name of the book escapes me. Tragedy and Hope. famously, he said, like, and the left and the right won't be too different from one another, like as represented by our political parties, because when the people get mad, they have the illusion of kicking the old guys out. We're just going to kick them out. We're going to vote them out as if it actually means something, but it's all just performative. So, I mean, crazy times, man.
I heard in the South in the U.S. back in the day, they would take the black slaves and the red slaves and they put them in this massive jar, and then the slave owners would shake.
That was good. That was really good. But yeah, that's a real thing. It's almost similar to like a strategy of tensions, and that's just how they manipulate us. So we get on these, like right now, Canada's going to shit. The things that are doing, it's not transgender people. It's not even immigrants. What's doing it are these massive changes to fundamental aspects of our legal system. The implementation of these new hate legislation, C9, all of these UNDRIP policies, expropriating private property. This new thing, the 30 by 30 thing, which is now, these are the things that we should be focused on. And this is something we all have in common. We're all enslaved by this system equally. That's my genuine thought. Like, we have to get out of this slave dialectic, or we're truly fucked.
Another thing that occurred to me, they've ruined so many of our institutions. So let's take CSIS. I think CSIS came out for like the 311th time and said, oh, there's Iranian sleeper cells in Canada. I don't know, maybe there is. But the question is, like, are you going to trust CSIS after everything they've done? Are you, like, what if the RCMP said it? Are you going to trust the RCMP? And at first you would say, well, this is what happens when you have incompetent leaders and they break everything. And then, well, what if they're not incompetent? What if they sat around? They're like, guys, these are institutions that are designed to defend the people. Why don't we break those institutions? We're billionaires. We have access to their taxes. We can build our own institutions. We can do our own, intel, but the people will be utterly hopeless. So now if I hear anything from any institution, from the media, law enforcement, military, government, legislature, you can't trust it.
Yeah, trust in institutions should be at an all-time low. But I mean, Canadians are so oblivious. Like, they seemingly, I don't know if I trust the polls, but I mean, Carney's approval ratings are, it seems legit. I see a lot of people, they're just, again, they're so oblivious. They have no comprehension of what's going on, what Carney represents, how our political system works, how the economy works. They don't know anything, but they're like, yeah, I like Carney. And it's shocking, man. That's what we're dealing with. Like, I don't know, man. It's just a flaw of democracy. It really is. Like, I think access to voting should have, I don't think it should be just granted to everyone. That's something that changed in me within the last couple of years. I was like firmly like, yeah, everyone should get a vote. And I just don't think that way anymore. I think you should have a basic competency test potentially before you're allowed to vote. Maybe you have to have some skin in the game, own something under better circumstances. No one would be able to vote if that was the case now.
A competency test wouldn't work, because the NDP would get in. They'd be like, how many genders are there? And if you say anything other than infinity, they're like, this man's not competent to vote. I like Bruce Party had he had a good suggestion. He said, not necessarily voting, but citizenship. Said, in order to become a Canadian citizen, you have to be born to one parent that's a Canadian citizen. Boom. You do that, you take the government's ability to import all of these, sell passports. You need something like that that's absolute, that handcuffs the government. Yeah,
it's a good idea for sure. Yeah, man, there's no easy fix for Canada. Like, I was very hopeful before Iran and everything that's going on with Trump that we would end up kind of being rescued by America, or better than that. I won't say it that way. Like, America has a vested interest in not allowing Canada to become a communist shithole. So I just thought, well, they're not going to be able to let us go that far. Like, this is inevitable. We will be kind of put in line by our powerful neighbor. But now I'm not so sure. Like, I don't know what's going on with this. I think Trump will be impeached. I think the midterms will be lost, and I think he will be impeached. And I think that's part of the plan.
Yeah, I don't know about impeachment. I mean, anything's possible. I think it's a good sign that Trump is trying to get an off ramp, like he's begging Iran for a ceasefire. Iran will never give it, but I think that's a good sign because at least it shows he's not through and through a John McCain. Maybe he's selfish and he's just looking at his polls. Well, fine, I'd rather have that than like a George Bush or a John McCain. Just, I wish he had just focused on the domestic policy. That's what I supported.
He got pushed into this, man. There's no way that he wasn't pushed into this. He didn't want to do it. I think the bombing strikes they did in July was to potentially, it was his attempt to avoid this, placate the powerful Israel lobby. Like, we're going to strike their nuclear zones, but like no war, no broader war. And then it came up again, and I think they were forced into it. The most frustrated I seen Trump. He's pretty composed, man. The most frustrated I seen him was during those bombing strikes in July, when Israel went and did something else, and he says to the media lady, it was the first time I heard him drop an F-bomb. He said they don't know what the fuck they're doing, and he was frustrated, and you could see it. It rang as genuine frustration. So I mean, clearly, like it's just like I say, there's people more powerful than the president of the United States, especially this collective group of oligarchs that are seemingly influencing everything. And they pushed him into this conflict, man. There's no doubt in my mind. And now they're just playing by ear. Like, they're seeing every day it's something different. They're trying different things, and it's a mess now, man. And it's just going to keep getting worse at this point.
Yeah, geopolitically, it's a quagmire he's wandered into. It's strengthened Iran's position. Iran actually has more credibility now and more support. But I'm sure Iran's position is weak as well. I mean, they don't want to push their luck, in my opinion. But we'll see.
I watched an individual talking to Piers Morgan, and he was saying, like, this conflict really makes Israel and America the bad guys. And he was like, how could you say that? And Piers
George Galloway?
Yeah, that's who it was. Pierce with his kind of fake incredulity, like, how dare you? How dare you say that? And he's like, well, who? And he's like, the world is bigger than the West. It's like the West represents a very small percentage of the world. I mean, China and Russia. And he's like, oh, yeah, well, China, of course, their regime. And George Galloway called him. He's like, you're living under the Starmer regime. Like, how dare you? Like, people just got to realize what's going on in the world, man, and get off of the propaganda. Now, Piers Morgan is a propagandist. So, I mean, but in general, that's what a lot of like boomer cons think. You know what I mean? It's crazy, man, the disconnect from what's actually occurring to their susceptibility to these narratives and this war propaganda.
Man, I've gotten like boomer overload now because of this Iran war. All of a sudden, every podcaster dusted off every like 75 to 90-year-old analyst, former retired military specialist, and they're putting them in front of the camera. And you gotta like play at a 3x speed because these guys are so near death they can't talk fast enough. But they're all critical of Trump. They're all saying the same thing. Most of it, well, some of it's true, but a lot of it is just their opinion of their lowly opinion of Trump.
Yeah, you got to be careful right now with the climate, man. You had to for the last couple of years, but like there's a lot of hopium stuff too, man. Like I used to follow Promethean Action Group. And then like even before this, I'm so like, this is seeming like an op. Like, it's just too perfect. Everything Trump is doing, they're interpreting it through this broader, it's this big city of London attack. And then it's like when Iran happened, it's like, how are they going to swing this? And then sure enough, as if Iran was city of London, like that's just ridiculous. And they're still running with that. This broader war was Trump attacking Iran to decimate the globalists. It's like, that's ludicrous. That's hopium, man.
I just thought it was a little strange. Maybe I'm just jealous, but they were right out of the gate. They were getting like 50,000 views on X on their clips, and these are like 9-minute clips. People on X, their attention span is 10, 15 seconds. Like that seems artificial.
Well, and again, man, it's telling you what you want to hear. I remember I was talking to you about them privately, and just saying like, I hope I'm not just following this because this is what I wish was happening. I really got that sense. Like, I didn't have the utmost faith in it in the narrative, but there was a lot of other analysts that would go on with them, like Tom Luongo and Alex Craner. You had Tom Luongo on your show quite a few times, and I mean, I wanted to believe, but I mean, it just goes to show you how dynamic this moment is. That no one really knows what's going on. and the most humble amongst us are probably going to preserve some of their credibility, because like there's a lot of people making these framings and making these what I see as sensational claims with not really much to go on but their own hypothesis. And I think like I don't think it's going to fare out well for them. I think it's going to make them look really bad.
You know, the best advice I got, it was from a podcast, but this guy's like, when you're on the conspiracy freeway, you can pretty much take any off ramp. That's the problem with making these like guessing hypotheses, assuming assumptions. They're going to lead you down bad corridors.
Yeah, potentially. But at the same time, it's like, what are your options right now? It's like you kind of know that all of the mainstream outlets are totally lying to you for differing reasons too. Like there's Zionist a propaganda that's out there that's just framing Israel as you know, in that way, and then there's different propaganda out there, like but none of it's true. Everything is pushing that one particular narrative, and it's like I said, it's never been so dynamic, it's never been more convoluted to ascertain reliable information. It's hard to get stable ground to stand on and catch your breath conceptually when you're trying to interpret all of this.
Well, since you mentioned Zionism, let's shift gears and talk about our favorite Zionist, Wyatt Claypool. What the hell do you think is going on over at 1BC? Like, why is Dallas Brody not fired this guy simply for the fact that he's a political landmine?
I just think that I think that party, I don't trust them. I think there's a lot of Zionist influence in that party, and a lot of populist movements have been captured. You really have to be careful with that nowadays. But yeah, Wyatt Claypool, he's kind of a joke, man. He's an establishment guy. He's got his little show he does, and he's got a lot of interest for some reason. He seems a little autistic to me, but I had to make a comment on him because what's blowing my mind, and I'm not some opponent of Israel. Like I've never said much about Zionism through all of this. I bite my tongue on it because I don't know what's going on. But since this Iran conflict, I started speaking out more. It's clear that they're influencing this administration. That much is just abundantly clear to me. But he's on there, and I noticed a lot of the American pro-Israel neocon accounts are trying to frame. It started with Michael Schellenberger, who's not even that, but he was pushing that on Joe Rogan. Well, the Epstein was just a creep. There's no information, there's no evidence that indicates a broader conspiracy at all. And they're trying to really sell that. Like, that's ludicrous. That's absolutely ludicrous. And that was what I caught Wyatt Claypool doing. And I just shared it. I was like, this guy's like really making arguments in support of Epstein. And he came on and he said something, oh, you're rusty hamster your rusty hamster wheel brain. It's like, Wyatt Claypool, man, like, sit down. I mean, my God, like, it's just shocking to me that that they don't feel like. I actually made the joke to him. I said, like, when you sat down and your handler told you that you have to argue, did you cringe when they told you have to make that argument? Like, that's ludicrous, man. And then there's the fact that they're all doing it like in unison, like they're coordinating their messaging on this.
You know, it's going to sound crazy, but I don't think they're lying. I think they believe this stuff. And the reason I say that, I got into a debate with, the only time I did a debate with a person on the left that was pro-climate change. Everything I said, he believed the polar opposite. And I watched that same person get into a debate with somebody that was pro-Russia in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and he was pro-Ukraine. And it got to the point where this guy on the left was losing the argument, and he just turned and in a moment of honesty, he said to the other guy that was pro-Russia, oh, that's Russian propaganda. That's Russian disinformation from the KGB. Like, you pick a side, you reach a conclusion, and then you listen to people that affirm your beliefs, your conclusion.
And that's the biggest problem. That's why I say it's like these dialectics. Like, you're watching just everyone fight, and what it does, it's what you're seeing. Like, if you lean to the right temperamentally or to the left, you're seeing the stimuli you're receiving is the most extreme versions of what you disagree with. That's the representation. So that's kind of radicalizing you more to be outspoken. So this is very efficacious. They've been doing it for a long time. And I think it's what prevents us from seeing the broader issues and realizing what we have in common, getting a little solidarity here. Like, the government's expropriating private property. That's a problem for the right and the left. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, these are big deals. Like, they're implementing speech laws now. And I mean, it's not going to bode well for the left neither. Like, this is like, you don't want to give the government this kind of power. It's nuts.
Man, I'm going to say something. It's going to piss off so many people in the comments. I just know.
Do it.
I don't think Bill C9 is the biggest threat right now. Bill C9 will make it easier for them to push through the things that are the biggest threat. But I think the biggest threat is the land issue. I mean, imagine if they stapled your lips shut. If you still had a homestead to work on, that's fine. But they're taking you off the land. They're shoving you in these 15-minute cities. And from there, it's all downhill. Like, your critical thinking skills are out the window.
Yeah, it's really hard to say what's the most concerning aspect right now, because they're also interconnected as well. Like, because I mean, mass migration is still a massive problem too. The balkanization that's occurred in Canada, like, this is going to get violent, Peyman. I truly believe that, man. Like, there's no way this doesn't get violent. We have so many differing communities that are like, we're truly balkanized, and they're being. It's almost like they're fomenting more division. Like, all of the racialism I'm seeing everywhere, it's just like it's becoming more accepted. It's like the algorithms are picking up on it and they're pushing it. And it's like everything. I mean, even religious, so like, you're seeing Christian or Catholics and Protestants fighting again. It's wild, man. The right, the left, the Catholics, the Protestants, the Muslims, the Jews. It's like we're fighting over everything. The young are fighting with the old. They blame the boomers. You know, it's just by virtually every available metric, we're divided and we're fighting with each other. And while we're blaming each other and pointing the finger at each other and looking left and right, they're constructing a technocratic totalitarian control grid around us. That's not hyperbole. That's just literally what's happening.
Yeah, but as I said, like, they've closed every avenue for course correction. You remember we had Dominic Chinelli on? He was with the BC Prosperity Project. They kicked him off of that. And he was like my last hope for BC, because one, BC had imploded. And when he came along, I'm like, fantastic. Alberta's doing it. BC, it'll take longer. But it's in the morons kicked them out. They're all a bunch of incompetent people. They're all a bunch of incompetent old people in there now.
It's all so corrupt by its very nature, man. Like, once anyone gets into this, they have to play the game. I just and I don't want to be the massive black pill that this is going to make people mad, but I truly don't think we're going to be able to vote our way out of this. I think that's just far too controlled. I don't think we're going to be able to infiltrate that system. I think we have to think of something far more pragmatic and outside of the box. I think we're going to have to think of like tax revolution. I think we're going to have to do protests. I think we're going to have to take our licks and keep going back out. I think we're going to have to try to find solidarity and put groups together and push back against this together in some capacity.
Yeah, I would say like a tax revolt has the same likelihood of success as a political solution. So before doing that, the people have to find some way to unify. And you mentioned the citizens organization or citizens association, but somebody has to do that. Somebody has to have the capabilities of bringing people together. That's why I was hoping Dominic Chinelli would do it, because he's that union guy who can, I don't like talking to anybody that I don't like, but he can do that. But the problem is, you try to do that, they sabotage everything.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, the funding you require for that is immense, especially considering that you're going to be deboosted. And that's not trivial. Like, if you're trying to make a movement, you're trying to do a grassroots community, and you're using social media, once the algorithms determine that, like, you're not establishment, you're going to just be suppressed. It's never been so bad. It's never been more difficult to get your message out. So you would really need to have an influx of revenue to counter that. And I mean, I don't see that that readily available in Canada. I think that's a massive problem. And if you want that revenue, if you want to get someone to donate to your then you're just going to be controlled. So it's like a catch-22 in some regard.
Well, they've created the system in such a way that it benefits them. The whole key to all of this, as you pointed out, is money. So you create these things called corporations, for profit, not for profit, and you have certain rules like accounting rules, and that puts a hard lower limit. So you need at least a couple $1,000s a year to pay for an accountant. And then if you do become popular, then they can hit you with lawfare, like what they've done to Barry Neufeld, what they did to Kathy Drake, Amy Ham, and now you need millions of dollars. Well, you're not going to get that sweet, sweet billionaire money if you're not aligned with the pro-government authoritarian model.
And I think people realize that too, right? It has that chilling effect. That's what you see from the lawfare. You see the people who are already victimized by our corrupt system, our corrupt judiciary. The people that were made examples of were made examples for a reason. And it's really, I think it's having a massive chilling effect on people that probably would like to get involved, but they're afraid. And it's not to say, I'm not trying to say you're cowardly or your fear isn't warranted. I would be afraid too. I am afraid. I'm afraid doing this show. Like, I really am. Like, are they just going to knock on my door and grab me? What do I have? I have no recourse. Like, you know, you're going, I'll lose my job. I'll lose my apartment. I'm screwed. Like, that's very possible. I mean, is that going to dissuade me? No. Because I know what happens as a result of doing nothing. It's like what we're up against right now. It's like you can ignore it now, but it's never going to be easier than right now. Like this isn't something that gets better by ignoring it. This is something that gets worse. So I mean, we can stand against it now, and there are a lot of associated risks, or we can just let it fester into to a point where standing against it is almost impossible.
Man, I think back to all the guests I've interviewed, and one of them said that I asked him, like, when did you notice things going bad with politicians, like people being more loyal to the prime minister? He goes, 2015. When Trudeau came in, he's like, I started noticing instantly all these bad appointments, all these yes men, and these soft coups, they happen like with high intensity, but it's spaced out across time. So if you remember Jimmy Carter, for example, his entire administration was trilateral commission. I think Bill Clinton also had a whole bunch of these. Pierre Elliott Trudeau might have been one of them, but definitely Justin Trudeau. I think when they came in, they're like, boys, we got him. We're in.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think these people are groomed for this. Justin Trudeau absolutely was. And it's like I say, like, and I'm not trying to say Trudeau is less culpable for this. I mean, his actions were what got us in this situation. But if you think that he's making these decisions, if you truly think that Justin Trudeau gets anywhere near the true levels of power or policy, then you're just naive. That's not how our systems work. That this is just it's a show for the people. If anything, the political class is not merely bread and circuses. It's kind of their spokespeople to kind of push the policies on us, and they go through this performative charade and able to do it to do this to us, to kind of provide a narrative for it. I really believe that too. I know that's quite the sensational claim to make, but nothing else makes sense logically to me.
Well, I mean, they got the political systems. It's just all these institutions. It goes back to what I said. Like, nobody has faith in them, and somewhere along the way, they figured out if we push this past a certain point, the people, instead of fighting back, they'll actually give up. And I think they've completely taken over the political parties, and you see it provincially now in BC. You saw it in your province as well. Peter McIsaac was talking about it, where the people are just like, it's hopeless. Like, imagine fighting for your life for like 3 hours. At some point, you're just exhausted.
Yeah, well, I mean, just fighting this right now when no one else seems to want to fight. I've been trying to convince people to fight for 3 full years now. I'm coming up on 3 full years of doing this. I'm talking 40 hours a week putting into this. Even more when I factor in my research. Like, and it gets to a point where it's like, do I continue? No one seems to want to fight. No one seems to want to do anything. Everyone just wants to complain. They want to poke and point at each other. No one wants to come up with practical or pragmatic solutions. It's it's becoming a little demoralizing for me. Like, I'm personally feeling it. Like, what are we fighting for? No one really wants to fight. Maybe we shouldn't at this point.
I've had a couple of my friends come up to me and they're pointing out quite topical things that are going wrong in Canada, like the food price of food is high. I'm not saying it's not a serious issue, but it's not like it's not the underlying issue. You know, the reason they're taking the land away from us is not because of the price of food. And I'm listening to them, and I don't want to be rude, but I'm just like, what do you want me to say? Like, we're 6 years into this. Why did you take the jab? Why don't you complied? They knew at that point they could get away with anything.
And it's hard to have optimism that they ever will change, because I mean it's so convoluted. Like, where are they going to figure this out? If the algorithm shows them our show, or maybe the 10 other podcasts that are trying to break through the spin and actually, provide analysis and not just rage bait and culture war grift. I mean, the odds of that occurring are nuts. What's going to happen is they're going to come on these platforms and they're going to be misdirected. And then they're going to end up in one of these little tribes and they're going to be pushing whatever fucking narrative they fixated on. That's what scares me. And that's why shows like ours are being deboosted. So considering that, this is an excellent segue for me to appeal to the audience. If you guys could please share this stream, it's very advantageous for us. We're severely deboosted with this show, so it helps a lot.
Yeah. Share the program, y'all. I don't know. Is there anything else? One other thing I want to mention on Iran. I've been observing people that the reasons are changing, like the arguments in support of the war, but it's not like the arguments they're coming from Trump. That I can understand. Like, he's messed up and they're panicking. But random people, like, they tell me first they said, we have to do this for the women of Iran. I'm like, the women of Iran have been suffering for 40 years. I don't remember you complaining for 40 years. What are they saying now? They changed it. I told you they got a new argument now. Oh, they shot down that airplane. Iran shot down that airplane with all those Canadians inside it. So we have to get revenge. I'm like, they shot the plane down. What was it, 3, 4, 5 years ago? You haven't said a peep since then. All of a sudden, like, you're worried about that.
Someone said to me recently, we've been at war with Iran for 40 years. I was like, we have been. It's like, oh my God, you people are, I keep using this term, tragically susceptible. These people are tragically susceptible to war propaganda. And it's the exact same war propaganda we've heard for every other bullshit war we've lived through. People are going to die. Innocents are going to die. There's no fucking excuse for that. There's no rationalization for that. I don't care. There's just not. And I'm not some kind of hippie or pacifist. I mean, if you're truly defending yourself, then by all means. But this war wasn't about that. Maybe for Israel to an extent, but not for America. America was under no threat from Iran. Everyone knows that. Netanyahu's been 30 years in Congress trying to push the American Congress to this conflict. And it's a joke. It's truly a joke. I seen some memes that had like Will Ferrell and the drummer from the Red Hot Chili Peppers dressed up together, like in the same clothing, and it was like 2001 war propaganda, 2026 war propaganda. Like, it's the same thing.
I was gonna say, to Bibi's defense, Iran has been 2 weeks away from a nuclear bomb for a very long time, so you can understand why he's got anxiety.
Absolutely. And then, I mean, like, Israel just went ahead and took the south of Lebanon. Like, come on, man. Like, did they even attempt to rationalize that at this point?
Well, things are escalating. Like, do you remember when the Ukraine war started? They're like, should we give weapons to Ukraine? Should we not? How far can we? With the Iran war, they're like, oh, let's just bomb it back to Stone Age. Bunch of kids, schoolgirls died. It was Iran. It was a false flag. What happened with that? Like, nobody talks about that. It's
wild, man. And the sycophants are who are pushing this, the Trump sycophants, like the cat turds and those types, the boomer cons, the pro-Israel cons are just pushing this so hard, man. And it's like everyone's showing them these posts, like they all just flipped. Like, Trump 180'd on this. Trump wasn't just your average GOP candidate that ended up going for a regime change war for Israel. The big one, Iran. Trump was supposed to be a repudiation of neoconservatism. He wasn't just your average Republican candidate. He was supposed to be fly in the face of this type of policy. And that's the biggest insult, man. What a turn.
Yeah, that's an issue as well. Before leaving this, I wanted to let's spread some of the hatred around, so it's not just that we hate all Jews and all Iranians and all Muslims. I also want to spread some hate over the Arabs. What people are saying that, you know, it's not right that why is America funding the Israeli army? Why is America putting boots on the ground? Why do the Israelis go fight? What the hell, man? The Gulf countries, they don't even have a military. They're pretending like they're better than you and me. They're all these rich billionaires. Colonel McGregor was saying, you know, before the discovery of oil, they were goat herders in the desert. And then you find oil, and America's like, okay, you can be our protectorate, a protectorate of the U.S., and we'll take care of all your military. So now you have these people that have no ability to defend themselves. And I'm starting to recognize now, holy crap, like Iran is in just like another league of its own. You could say Israel and Iran, whatever, Israel's better, Iran is better. But like the Arabs are like down here. They don't even have a military.
So think if you have a bagel shop and you're in a gangster neighborhood, you're in New York, and it's like Italian mafia, and you're paying to one family for protection. And now there's another more powerful family that's illustrating to you that you should be more concerned about them. That's the situation for a lot of these Arab countries right now. They're thinking like, you know, I've been loyal to this one power, and now it's seeming that they cannot provide security for us. That's a big problem. That's going to have such a bad effect, man. And again, all of this was predictable. That's why it's lunacy that they took this war. That's why this war is so unpopular. This war just absolutely didn't just kill Trump. It killed the MAGA movement. It totally it was the straw that broke the camel's back.
You know, even I was I believed this illusion of American invincibility. Like I just figured you can't spend $1.5 trillion and be unable of kicking Iran's ass. But looking back, the signs were there. Like Russia showed that they outproduced all of NATO, including the U.S. Every 4 months, they outproduced all of NATO. So yeah, America is just, they have this ossified military, and they're still going around pretending like they're the big mafia boss, as you put it, but they can't provide protection. And now the Gulf countries are like, why do we need these guys? Let's just sell oil in yuan or rubles.
Yeah, and that's what's going to happen to them. Unfortunately, they have no option. They don't have power. They have a desirable commodity, which is oil. They're going to be taken by a larger power or under the influence of a larger power. We're going to see a shift. I wanted to see that. Like I was hoping more of a multipolar world where nations could kind of get past the globalist regime, this neo-Malthusian 15-minute city climate change regime, and we could get back to being productive and making our countries prosperous.
Yeah, man, that's what really pisses me off. That's what bothered me about this Iran war. And everybody thinks I'm heartless. I'm telling them, I'm like, why do you care about Israel? Why do you care about Iran? Who gives a shit what happens in the Middle East? I want my freedom here. I live in this country, not in Iran. And of course, everybody just shouts me down.
Well, everyone is conditioned to think they're supposed to have an opinion about all of this other stuff. And it's fine. If everything's great in your home, you know what I mean? Everything's great in your neighborhood, then you should have impassioned, opinions regarding other things. But right now, like look at the money we sent to Ukraine. Like, I think it's a third of our national deficit, which is immense. It's like $78 billion. Like a third of that went to Ukraine. I mean, Canadians are suffering. We are truly suffering, man. There's Canadians addicted to fentanyl living in parks right now, and we're sending money to Ukraine. Like that's just abhorrent. It's truly hard to fathom.
Yeah, but Canadians, they don't understand money. First, actually, most people don't. When money it goes beyond like $1 million, people have no comprehension. They could have sent $1 trillion to Ukraine. I think people would have been like, yeah, go Zelensky.
Well, it illustrates the economic illiteracy of Canadians. They don't understand how economics work. They don't understand how the monetary system works whatsoever. They don't understand the inflationary effect of this type of spending. Yeah, we're going to print a bunch of money and we're going to just send it right out of the country. It's like, wow, that's, and again, it's Canadians should know this. If we weren't ideologically subverted with our curriculum, we would know this. We would have a basic comprehension of civics, how our political system truly works, the details of it. We would understand how economics work. And I know you get that in university if you're taking that, but I mean, I don't think it's being taught at any effective level. That's for sure.
At this point, they might as well change our legal tender to Post-it notes. Like you just write something on, be like, "Here's an IOU."
Yeah, it's going to get that bad. This is what concerns me about the Strait of Hormuz. Like lots of energy infrastructure is being targeted by both sides of this conflict. So obviously, this is going to create a crazy effect worldwide. And you're already seeing, like in the Philippines and in Australia, in Vietnam, I heard they ran out of gasoline entirely. And like we mentioned earlier, they're going to be doing energy lockdowns, work from home, all of this stuff. Like, man, it just makes you wonder, right? Like, is it just all a continuation of what started with COVID? We're all still fighting with one another, speculating all of these sensational theories, and they're just all working together to lock us down in the control grid.
These bastards just won't die. Should we go to the questions?
Let's do some questions, brother.
Let me see first if there's anything in Substack, so we can give preferential treatment there, if there is. We got 3 viewers. I don't see any comments in Substack, so we'll just go back to StreamYard. And there is a lot of questions. Let me go to the top. Clown World, how's it going? Thanks for the repost. Yeah, his ear grew back. You know what this? Oh, Trump's ear. Yeah. It's wonder what they're talking about. Clown World, have you guys considered having Michael Yon as a guest? JP?
I'm unfamiliar with that individual.
I think Michael Yon, the one that's at the U.S. border. I don't know if my hands reach that high. I don't know if I could get him. If you can get him for us, Clown World, we'll bring him on.
Yeah, we're willing to talk to anyone, really.
Desperation's kicking in. Andrea, 100%, everything changed, and RFK endorsement pushed it over the top. That could be. What do you think?
Yeah, that really was a moment for me where I thought, like, okay, this is it. Like, we're seeing like a big tent party, as they say, a lot of various interests, but they're standing for something noble, and they're standing against something pernicious, which was globalization and the direction we were going. So it hurt like a bit extra when they went in this direction.
You know, I'm still not fully bought on into this argument that Trump was playing all along, and that he's just completely incompetent. I really think they're pushing him around, and I think it's beyond just like a bullet with his son's name on it. I think they're saying, like, do this or we will implode the economy. Like, I think that's the threat he's getting.
God knows. I agree with you too. I think a lot of people, I have a lot of friends that say Trump was in on it the whole time. He was playing the role, but it was too messy. It was too messy. If they controlled every aspect of it, we would have still got a show, but it wouldn't have been a show to this extent.
Yeah,
I think at some point, these various interests that were fighting for control of this administration, one side won, and clearly it's the Zionist side. Like, that's seemingly undeniable for me.
Seems like it. Alice Not Woke, hello. How are you doing, man?
Thank you, Alice.
Cloud World, what's the fire hydrant effect? You feel like you're being peed on? No, that's the intro effect. Fire hydrant is like you unleashing a fire hydrant of information. That's what everybody felt like after COVID. You had so much to say, but you hadn't talked to anybody in a long time.
Yeah, I like that. I've never heard of that before.
Oh, maybe it's just me. Andrea, 1 out of every 4 Canadians works for the Canadian government. How does a Soviet like that work? Aaron Kuriyari, I don't know. Yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
It's the nature of a massive bureaucratic state. It's incentivized to grow. We used to know this. We knew that it was an inherent aspect of like the dynamics of power. So we would have measures in place to prevent that, to kind of make it more equal. But we don't anymore. It's like we forgot the danger of the government.
I think they're buying votes, and hear me out. They're creating these cushy jobs. They're printing money. They're going into debt, and they're taking Canadians and they're artificially moving them out of poverty in some ways. Like, here, come to this bureaucracy where you're getting more money than if you worked in the private sector, and then they're bringing in temporary foreign workers to a make up for the labor shortage that they had themselves have created, but b they have to offset the inflation a little bit. So you got slave labor to keep the prices down a bit while you print money and cause inflation.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a reasonable theory. I mean, we should have saw this. Like, if we actually had real leadership, they would have recognized, oh my God, we have a demographic crisis in Canada. We're going to run out of people working in the workforce. Well, let's give people a little more. Let's incentivize them to have babies. Let's incentivize them to procreate. This is like I say, man, we're mammals. We will have babies. It's just a natural thing. And in fact, in order for mammals to stop reproducing, they're generally, it only occurs when they're in captivity under really bad conditions. Then we'll stop having babies. So it makes a good argument, right? Are we all, is modern man just under captivity?
Feels like it.
Seems like it, yeah.
Alice says, my neighbors all got 20 vaccines. That's slightly above average.
That's crazy, man. People are still getting these things. They're still going out and getting these, these boosters. It's crazy to me, man.
I don't even like vaccinating my dogs.
No, me neither. I've heard a lot of people like they say a golden retriever used to live considerably longer when they were eating table scraps before the advent of like kibble and veterinarians and stuff. It's like they make an industry out of it. So then they're incentivized by profit, not providing a better service. So has a detrimental effect.
Tucker Carlson did a whole podcast on the veterinary sector. Did you watch it?
No.
He did an episode with this guy. It was on telemedicine, but like for dogs, so veterinary services. And you've probably felt this. Like the vet, I go in there and I feel like they're selling me stuff that they don't like. My dog got neutered, and they're like, "Here's some antidepressants. Here's some like I don't know sedatives." I'm like, "Why don't you just give me the cone and I'll take him home? He's a dog."
Yeah, I'll give him some hot dogs.
Yeah.
A piece of meat or a bone or something. That's an antidepressant. It's wild, man. And people fall for this. Like they love their pets, right? So it's exploitative in that regard because people truly love their pets. And if you got a medical professional there saying your animal needs this, it's like it's hard to say, well, no, I don't care. I'm not getting it. I'm poor enough to do that though, so it doesn't faze me.
I took my border collie in for something unrelated, and they're like, "Oh, do you want to check her up?" I'm like, "Not really." And they forced me to do a checkup, and they're like, "Sir, her front tooth is broken." I'm like, "Damn you bastards!" They forced me to get her a root canal for a dog.
That's wild.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Look at Australia since they've taken their firearms. I guess it's just that. Did they do that? Do you know about that?
Yeah, that was a while ago. They did the same way that they're attempting to do it in Canada. It was a massive buyback program. They utilize every mass shooting event, every time there's violence, they utilize that as a catalyst to then incentivize people to go along with this bullshit. It's crazy how susceptible we are to it. And I mean, we've been propagandized in Canada against firearms for a very long time. It's just part of the programming. We don't understand them. It's like, again, and I will say it one more time, please do this. Like, don't just take my word for it. Every time historically that a government has disarmed their population, there's been democide. There's been like government overreach. There's been crazy human rights violations. Like this isn't my crazy assertion. This is history. Vet me on this.
Yeah, you're right. Alice not woke. No, but their brains have fallen out. Total elbows up. I don't know what that's about. I think it was a reference to Clown World. Unacceptable. Being alive for 6 decades, I saw the old Canada employed many more people, and our country was way better back then. I haven't been here for 6 decades or on the planet, but it's every decade Canada's gotten worse. Every decade.
Oh my God, yeah. Since the deindustrialization started, see, deindustrialization affected cities like where I'm from. I'm from Sydney, Nova Scotia. I live in Halifax presently, but Sydney had industry. We had a steel plant, we had coal mines, we had fisheries, we had viable, robust industries, and these were great communities to live in. And then deindustrialization occurred, and they started shutting down all of the plants, shutting down all of the mines. We stopped getting our critical minerals and doing that. Like we just totally stopped, and that made communities like mine in Sydney is post industrial. So then it's like the industry has moved, but the city is still there. The towns are still there, and they're all across Canada, man. These post-industrial just shitholes at this point because everything's been sucked out of it.
That's sad. I don't know. I don't even know what to say, man. Like, I remember at the beginning of COVID when everybody was trying to figure it out, watched this podcast presentation, and the guy did a really good job. He said back in the 70s and 80s, the municipalities were on their own. They had to, they had to provide for their water, for their electricity, for their telephone communications. Now everything you're getting subsidies from the province, and it seems like you're getting more, but you're at the mercy of the province. Now your situation might be a little bit different, but at least you had sovereignty back then. You had control.
Yeah. It was, I mean, Canada, people say that Canada would be the wealthiest country in the world. And I believe that. If we had leadership that was looking to make Canada awesome for Canadians, it would be easy. We have all of the natural resources that would be required. We could actually be sufficient in many regards, where a lot of countries wouldn't be. We could have it all, but for some reason, we're amongst the poorest in the G7, the highest food prices in the G7. Like it's crazy. The lowest GDP per capita in the G7, the highest debt per household in the G7. Like we're not doing good. So I mean, figure that out.
Man, you know what's really wild? I came from a war-torn country. Iran was in the middle of a war, and it was right after the Islamic Revolution. Yet Iran back then was more stable than Canada is now. Explain that one to me.
I believe that. Well, people don't appreciate the precarious situation that Canada's in right now. They don't appreciate it because they have no idea. They have no idea how close to just absolute collapse this country is in. Like it's not looking good.
What else do we got? Johnny Tightlips, JT. They'll simply say we can't afford to overcrowd the hospitals due to the energy crisis. Yeah, that's when I was complaining about the masks. I could see them doing that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But what would the catchphrase be? 2 weeks to flatten the diesel? Like what would you do? Would you flatten the pump?
It doesn't even matter anymore. They're just, and people, like someone made a comment about people with their elbows up. It's like, don't just see people with their elbows up. Like you're not thinking properly. Like see a programmable army awaiting further instruction. They're that susceptible to mass formation that they're dangerous. They truly are, man. Because they believe it all. They fall for the stimuli, and they go out and they're weaponized against broader society.
Yeah. Susceptible. Here's a good one from Andrea. Canadians might be sleeping, but everyone in Canada who came here from a communist country sees exactly what is happening. That might be true. I don't know every single person that's like came from a communist country to Canada. I can tell you it's absolutely not true of Iranians. They came from an Islamic tyrannical communist nation, and they just don't see it. I guess unless Carney puts on a turban, they won't understand what's going on.
Yeah, I think it's hard to reduce it to a metric as to people who are awake to this and people who are not. And you certainly can't chalk it up to aptitude, because I know some extraordinarily smart people, some very smart, well-educated, well-respected people that fell for this bullshit hook, line, and sinker. So, I mean, it's really hard to predict who is going to be susceptible, who's going to be aware, who's going to see past the propaganda. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, that's the truth. Alice Not Woke agreed. We are the silent majority and we don't even know it. Could be.
That's an interesting point, man. I think that frequently. I think that we're meant to believe with these algorithms and shit on these various platforms that like we're in the super minority. And I think everyone like because I don't think my views are that irrational in any regard. I think they're very logical. I can explain them. I just think I looked into this a little more than people are willing to do, and that's why I have the opinions I have.
You put in the effort. Here's one from Alice Not Woke. The polls are totally fake. 90% Indian are the polls. Now, are they just manufacturing this garbage, or do they run 100 trials of the poll until they get the results they want? Well, what are they doing?
I got a friend, man. You actually had him on your show, Bryce Ryder. He does political polling for a living. He works for different companies and he calls people all across the country and he does political polling. So, I mean, they're actually running these polls, but you got to think what age demographic is going to answer their phone from like most people are just going to see that call coming in. Oh, that's spam. A lot of people have their phones set to reject those calls and anticipate them and reject them. But think of the people that are answering these calls and then think of the people that say, yeah, I got 12 minutes to do a survey. You know what I mean? Right away, that shows you're getting probably a lot of older people. I'd say they're doing the polls. I just don't trust how accurate they are as a representation of what Canadians are feeling.
Yeah, I don't have an answer either. Clown or the math? Okay, maybe not that. Alice Not Woke. Same thing when they wheeled out Noam Chomsky to criticize Trump. You know, I really like Noam Chomsky. She spelled Noam wrong. I really like Noam Chomsky when I was in university and I was like hardcore leftist. I clung on to every word he said. But looking back, there was a lot of things that he says I disagree with. And then when his views on COVID, I was like, get this guy out of here. Get him in an old person home.
Also some crazy Epstein ties, which wasn't really good. But yeah, I still value a lot of things I learned from Noam Chomsky. The manufactured consent, that was his term. He coined that term. He made a lot of good points. But I mean, I feel like a lot of this shit is controlled. And they have their different academics. Like that's one of the, why do you think so many scientists and academics went to Epstein Island, right? It's like they know that they have cultural influence. That's where they want to control.
Here's one from Clown World. I was 50-50 on Trump, but sending thousands of all caps white young men to their deaths for Israel is not my thing. Before I throw it over to you, I'm getting mixed signals from Trump. Not that he's signaling me directly, but first, he's sending soldiers over to the Middle East, like boots on the ground, but he's also looking for an exit. So I don't think he actually wants a protracted war. Like I really think he wants out.
I think he definitely wants out. He needs to get out. You were saying earlier, it's not that like these wars are hard, man. Like look at Vietnam. Look at the capabilities of Vietnam back in the day. Like they won ultimately. Like America had to leave. And what did they do? They're fighting for their home. You're sending in young people that don't want to be there, and they're up against people that are fighting for their home and their civilization. And I mean, that's just a different incentive. So I mean, these are hard, brutal wars. I think America. They're what are they set to send 50,000? They're going to need hundreds of thousands to even have a prayer. I really believe that too. This is just going to be a mess.
Yeah, taking over a country is not easy. Neither of you we're not military guys, but it takes way more than 50,000.
Oh my God. Iran is a big country. It's 90 million people in Iran. And they have powerful allies that are happy to keep giving them whatever they need. Why? Because it benefits them. Why wouldn't China give Iran everything they require, or Russia for that matter?
You know, this reminds me, I talked to one of my friends, friend of a friend. He knows people in Iran right now. And he said, I asked him, all the casualties right now, are they from the government killing protesters, or is it from the U.S. strikes? And he goes, initially it was the government killing protesters. Now it's the U.S. strikes. So as the U.S. is striking these urban centers with all these liberals that would have otherwise supported the U.S., they're losing support in Iran as well.
It's just hard to believe we're still here, man. We're still having these bankers' wars. We're still sending people to go fight and kill people. We're still targeting civilian infrastructure. We're targeting civilians. It's shocking, man. You like to think that we're so civilized and we're so beyond that, but look at us, man. And look at how, again, I said that word probably 10 times, but look at how susceptible we are to this propaganda. People that don't know shit from good chocolate, and they're on here just sloppily regurgitating the most bullshit war propaganda arguments I've ever heard. What, you don't care about the Iranian people? I care about all people. You know what I mean? Like, what are you talking about? Of course I do. But I mean, we're not in the business of going around and toppling regimes to help people. I mean, that's just stupid if you think that.
Let's stick to that. You said they're susceptible. When they make the argument, like, you know, the women in Iran are being suppressed, we have to do this to free them. I'm like, are we going to do this in other places? Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Libya, Sudan, Somalia, Yemen? Where do you want to draw the line?
It's funny too, like to free them. It's like, what are we going to bring them? OnlyFans? And OnlyFans and feminism, because it's done so well for us. Our families are pretty much eradicated. I mean, like, we're not in good shape. What we thought was freedom, it's definitely arguable now. Like I said, I grew up with this conception that I was in the free world. I felt bad for anyone who wasn't in the free world. And here I was on a labor colony my whole life and just was unaware. When shit was good though, right?
OnlyFans. Clown World. Claypool is obsessed with the Dominion Society. Have you seen this? Like, the two of them are duking it out. I don't even know what's going on.
Second Sons too. He's always him and Jeremy McKenzie get into it a lot. He has to. He's told who to fight with, and that's just what it is. He has talking points, man. It's like I said to him, I'll put my rusty hamster wheel of a brain up against your lame ass desperate Zionist talking points any day of the week. He didn't respond. Of course he didn't respond. Why? Because he knows he can't win an argument because he's stuck to these talking points. He's not stupid.
Why is it mental? Oh, man, it's turning into the Claypool hour. I think Claypool's mother is Kathleen Women's dad is, I don't know. I don't want to.
Is Orville Redenbacher, the popcorn dude. He's the popcorn dude. That's funny.
Oh, okay. I thought it was serious. Okay, I didn't get the joke. He's rather brainless and quite mean. I think Wyatt should move to Indian since he loves them so much. Let's leave Wyatt behind before he sues us. What? Kathleen? Is that the same joke? Never mind. What do we got? Majestic. Only at the precipice of losing everything will the people find the will to change. I don't know, man. I mean, I think it's after they've lost everything. I think Canadians are just they're so complacent.
Yeah, dude, we're on the precipice. We've been on the precipice, and we're not finding the will. And one of the biggest hindrances, I've mentioned this before, but we have a pressure release valve in controlled opposition, Pierre Poilievre, who says just enough to seem like he's opposing to create the illusion of opposition, and that's capturing a lot of people that aren't paying attention. That's the biggest hurdle. That's the biggest obstacle for Canadians starting to actually find and look for viable solutions to this, political solutions, is Pierre Poilievre being there. Because, I mean, of course, like, who's going to believe me, you and I? Pierre Poilievre is controlled opposition. Our system is synthetic. They're not going to believe that. It's easy to dismiss me. You just got on X and you're looking around. It's like, I'm following this pleb dude, and he's telling me that this guy's the chosen one.
Man, there's a by-election. There's 3 by-elections going on. Some PPC volunteer for one of the candidates put out a picture of their booth, and the Conservative Party starts attacking her viciously. That's what the Conservative Party does. You said it's a pressure release valve. I say their role is to prevent any populist movement from rising up on the right. And they're saying, like, don't split the vote. You don't have any seats. Why are you doing this? And I went in there. I'm like, why don't you guys stop bitching and complaining and focus on fixing your own goddamn party so it's actually conservative? Like,
Simple
that's
as
all
that.
they do is they complain. And I'm just like, your party is broken. Like, get the hell out of here.
Yeah, 100%, man. Your leader's supporting Bill C4. Your party's supporting Bill C4. Your party is perpetuating on the most popular podcast in the world, is perpetuating multiculturalism in Canada. At this point, after the weaponized mass migration, we're thoroughly balkanized. The economy's been decimated. And he's on there like, yeah, we just all get along in Canada. He's perpetuating that bullshit, argument that we're just all really nice. We're really nice and really liberal up here. That's what we are.
I'm surprised Joe Rogan didn't kick him off his show right there. He's like, oh, in Canada, unlike in the US, we all get along. Rogan should have just knocked him out.
I can't believe Rogan must have agreed to take it easy on him a little bit in some capacity. I truly believe that, because like Rogan's just naive when it comes to Canadian issues, because he's not like that. Like, he does push back with people. Like, I've seen it a million times. So there was either some deal made beforehand in order for him to do it, or Joe Rogan just was uninformed in some regard.
Let's see what else we got. Oh, here's Clown World. You could consider having Alex Vrend, ferryman, as guest VP of Second Sons Canada. I didn't know he was VP. I thought, okay, so that is ferryman. I don't think he would come on. I'm happy to go off for an episode. And you could talk.
It's funny. Jeremy McKenzie blocked me. I'm not sure why. I don't ever remember interacting with him, but he has me blocked for some reason. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'd be willing to talk to anyone. Truly, I really mean that too. I hope people challenge me on that. Like, I will sit down and speak with anyone. I want to figure out what's going on.
No. Again, like we could reach out to him, have him come on. I don't think he would agree. I mean, I'm surprised. The ferryman and McKenzie, they're like low-hanging fruit. If Bill C9 passes, like, they might just go after them and arrest them and throw them in jail. I know you think that they're an op.
Well, I think they might be an op. I don't know. I think many of them could be well-meaning people too. I think the way they ensure they control the opposition is by staying ahead of the game. They create the opposition. That's how they ensure they control the opposition. And I mean, this is a game they play frequently. I look at the Second Sons, not so much Dominion Society. We've had Daniel on the show and spoke with Daniel. But with the Second Sons, man, with some of the training videos and the masks and stuff, like, I think it makes me think of the Patriot Front in America. And I don't know, man. I'm fine to admit when I don't know something. I wouldn't say they are or they're not. But yeah, it's hard to tell these days. This is a very dynamic moment.
We got a fact-packed post from the Remanded. Bill C-22 gives enforcement data access. Bill C-9 creates hate laws. Bill C-25 allows all year-round monitoring and flagging under the guise of protecting elections outside of elections. You want me to go first, and then I'll throw it to you?
Sure, bro.
It is more of the same. So we're seeing more government centralization of power in the government, but it's also, government is like a cancer. All it knows is how to grow. So it's just growing and growing and growing, and there's no pushback. So there's no corrective measure.
Bill C-22, I think that was Bill C-2, and they reworked it into C-22, where they would have backdoors through social media platforms, would have to give them a backdoor to your account and stuff. Pretty crazy. But every bill that this penetrated cabinet, and they are a penetrated cabinet, every bill that they've introduced functions to consolidate the power of the federal government. That's just undeniable. That's just true. And that's scary. That's really scary, man. And I keep saying this to people. It's like I'm becoming jaded. Like, I'm telling people, like, in my regular life too, people I know, like, yeah, it's gonna get bad, man. Like, there's all these things going on, and people just don't know what to do with that information. They really don't. I'm sure they question it. They question the validity of it. But at the same time, it's like, even if they accept it at face value, it's like, what do I do with that as a normal guy? Vote for Pierre Poilievre, I guess.
Yeah. It's just don't split the vote. Be That's sure not to split the vote. JT, the Westminster system is based on the assumption that the politicians have the country's best interests at heart. It is redundant, and there is no way out besides destroying it, perhaps through independence. Is this something inherent to the Westminster system, or just every political system?
Every political system. I think it's the individuals. We've talked about this frequently in the past. Look at the Republican America. Like, you know what I mean? Benjamin Franklin famously said, when someone said, like, what style of government is it? He said, it's a republic if you can manage to keep it. And I mean, it doesn't seem like they do. It seems like the oligarchy's got in America too. I mean, it's just the nature of corruption. I mean, what we require is people with integrity. And when we have a ruling class that has integrity and understands their role and understands that they have to be good, I mean, then we'll have we could have a good king. We could have a monarchy. What's more, oppressive or apparently oppressive to democratic values than a straight monarchy? But I'll tell you, a benevolent king would be far better than whatever this is.
All right, let's just get this out there. Since if you want to use that Benjamin Franklin quote again, it's a republic, madam, if you can keep it.
There you go.
I'll get you a T-shirt. Give me your address. I'll send it to you.
I paraphrase these things.
No, it's okay. My memory is horrible anyway. Clown World, Harper signed us up to Agenda 2030, correct? Harper appointed Carney to the Bank of Canada. Any comments on each, either?
Before Harper, man, Pierre Trudeau, going back to Pierre Trudeau, Mulroney, like all of these people were going along with this agenda. And not just in Canada, in all of the Commonwealth countries.
Yeah, we're just only realizing now. Here's one, Andrea. Oh my God, guys, you do know that Mark Carney's wife and Gerald Butts, the Laurentian elites, worked for years to get Justin Trudeau elected. Yeah, I believe that. That I don't know about his wife, but those swamp creatures brought in Justin Trudeau as a puppet.
Yeah, and he's so naive. He has good hair. You know what I mean? He was the perfect person to put in that role. He's like the lead singer that doesn't write any of the songs. And I think they wanted him. Why? Because they could do whatever they want with him. They knew that he would be the most malleable for them. If they got anyone with a little bit of a backbone or a little bit of intelligence that actually grasps what they're doing, they probably wouldn't have went along with it so wholeheartedly.
It's almost an argument for a monarchy. At least with a monarchy, there's a 50-50 chance that the monarch has a spine.
I'm losing faith in universal suffrage.
Yeah. I'm sensing that. I remember I hate Harper for what he did to Canada. He true let democracy in. True democracy is power games. That's kind of like you're saying you're losing faith in suffrage.
And just a pure democracy like that, going back to like Socrates and Democrates, like we knew that a democracy has that problem. That's why we have a constitutional republic in America. That's why we have a monarchical constitutional Westminster parliamentary system in Canada and other countries. It's to counterbalance that effect, because a pure democracy would have that effect. It would be mob rule essentially. And we know that that's not going to work.
Yeah. Mikhail, hello, sir. How's it going? Unacceptable. We had socialism where everyone had a space that no other was allowed to enter. We called it social democracy. I remember it well. I guess he's a big supporter of social democracy. That's fine to each their own. You want to say anything?
I mean, it's a lot of these words like they're thrown around very in a nonchalant regard. Like a lot of people don't understand what they mean. We definitely have socialist aspects of our government. We were never socialist, fully socialist, but we're definitely going that way. So if you favor socialist systems, that's the direction we're going, seemingly. I personally don't, but
it's a matter. Take your paycheck. You make $100 a year, for example, just example's sake. Do you want to keep? How much of that do you want to keep? How much do you want to give to the government? Would you prefer keeping more, or would you prefer the government taking more? Right now, the government's taking more. I don't care what people say. We're not paying 40% taxes. We're paying way more when you factor in all the debt at every single level.
Yeah, and I mean, the Fraser Institute put it at 42 to 43% on average, but that again is an average. So some people are paying far more than that. Some people are paying less. But I mean, it's atrocious, man. It's absolutely atrocious. We're struggling and the government's taking all of our money. And then if it was truly socialism, they would be putting it back into our communities. They would be giving it back to you, but it's not. It's globalism. It's you know what I mean? It's going to Ukraine. They're taking all of our money, they're sending it to Ukraine. They're setting up scholarships for Indian students to come into Canada. Like this is what they're utilizing the tax revenue they're stealing from us for.
It's absolutely bonkers. Like at least have the decency to come and rob me right to my face.
Honest to God, man.
Andrea, the woman of Iran, that's like saying everyone entered World War II to save the Jews. Yeah, I wasn't alive at the time, but what was World War II was nothing to do with the Jews, right? They just, it was mostly Pearl Harbor.
Well, for America, it was Pearl Harbor. But it wasn't, it was Hitler invading Poland. Now, there's some revisionist interpretations of the World War II narratives. I'm obsessed with them, but I'm not going to unpack them here. But the catalyst for World War II was Hitler taking Poland, was going into Poland. That's when England and France declared war.
Yeah, that's a good point. Unacceptable. I hate young people because they don't remember the past. They weren't there. Yeah, that's the problem of breaking up the family unit. You don't have the stories passed down from generation to generation.
That and the fact that our school curriculums are just, they're ideologically subverting people. Like they're not looking to inform you relative to the nuance of history. They're not looking to inform you about economics or politics. They're looking to just push transgenderism and critical theory, racialism. All of these things are what children are learning now. It's atrocious.
I can't believe they're getting away with it too. Like they're paying somebody to come and argue with you and me that there are more than two genders. And it would be like if you are an engineer, I give this example, and you're working like an electrical engineer, you're trying to install the electrical grid, and then people are coming to you, they're like, there are more than two voltages. You have to stop what you're doing and go and argue with them when you should really just be like, yeah, that's nice, dear. Please go away.
Yeah, it's so ludicrous that we're here. It truly is, man.
Here we go with putting down Canadians again. Hey, it's the only pleasure I have in my horrible life. All right.
We're trying to inspire Canadians is what we're doing.
Sundown 95. Always such an honest conversation. Thank you for keeping things in perspective, gentlemen. We try. I guess I'm sure we have our own problems as well, but we're trying to be as objective as possible.
I definitely try to be, I try to be as humble as possible too with interpreting this. It's like I frequently tell people, man, there's so many moving pieces to this. When you start to look beyond the veil, when you're going down the rabbit holes, keep in mind that you're not seeing everything. And every new piece of information you learn, keep in mind that that's not everything. And if you do that, you might be able to get your way through this without making a fool of yourself.
Here's another one from Alice. The whole world is ideologically controlled, not just Canada. Yeah, it's true. I have two-part answer to that. One, I live in Canada, so that's why I'm focused. I don't care what's happening in Iran. The other thing, I think this is a Western virus that's spread. So if you look at Eastern Europe that was under the Soviet Union, they're not as far along on this trajectory as the Western Europe.
Well, we were detached and led astray from our religious roots, from Christianity. And that was the soil that sustained our beautiful culture. That was where we derived our values from. That's where the West wasn't even a term. What you would hear prior to World War I was Christendom. You were going to the Christian part of the world. Other parts of the world still have that. That's still intact. It's only the West that have been totally removed from their culture, from their religion. And that has the detrimental effect.
No, I agree with you. Clown World, what do you have to say? Agreed. There's something big happening every single day. We can't keep up, and that's what they want, us being overwhelmed. I agree 100%.
Yeah, man, the pace of this news cycle, it basically ensures that you can't stay focused on anything. It's constantly moving. You're being overwhelmed with information, and you don't know where to start. And that's part of the design. That's not a bug. It's a feature for them.
I'm laughing. Majestic 12. I don't want to defend Trump, but my father had an injury on his ear, and it was weird. He only had a little line. The ear healed like new, so if by chance it tore the ear, it might have healed. Maybe it's cartilage. What do I know?
I don't know, man. If you wanted to really show the power and how easily you could affect change as a massive supranational oligarchy, skim him on the ear, and then sit him down and see if he's a little more pliable for the direction you want to push him in, right?
Could you imagine the sniper gets it wrong? They're like, sir, did you accomplish your mission? He's like, yes, a little too much.
I think they were willing to take that risk.
Look at this one. Majestic is my new favorite viewer. My grandmother's dog lived like 30 years.
It's crazy though, man. Like I really did a little research into this, and I was researching dog food. I have a large dog. I have a Cane Corso. We feed him a raw diet. So I there's a local butcher that grinds up their old meat, their bones, their chicken necks, stuff like that. And I'll give him a couple of pounds of that a day. And I read up on kibble, and I would never give my animal kibble. Like kibble, like even the science diet and the more expensive varieties of kibble, there's traces of euthanized animals in there, and they can actually find the euthanasia in it. It's not good. It's corn and wheat based. Like dogs need meat. They need meat. So give them table scraps over that shit.
It's a high fructose diet for the dogs.
Crazy, man. And then that fuels the veterinary business as well, the veterinary industry. That gets them going in more frequently, right?
Yeah, you know, I went into the vet and they're like, how many times a week do you brush your dog's teeth? I'm like, never. 0. They're like, here's a toothbrush. I'm like, I'm not brushing my dog's teeth, man. I have a hard enough time brushing my own teeth. They
were trying to really shame you about your dog's oral hygiene.
Oh yeah. They're crazy. All right, Alice not woke. Now they have mRNA vaccines for pets. Is this true?
I've not heard of it, but I don't doubt it. It's such a business, right? Like sometimes it's that simple. They're in the business of making profits, and with some of these industries, it creates an incentive.
Oh, we got a lot of dog owners among our viewers. I stopped vaccinating my dogs years ago. One of my big guys lived to be 16 and a half years old. Wow.
Yeah, that's my dog, they live to 8 to 10, but I've seen some videos where there was 12-year-old Cane Corsos and stuff. I just value every day I get with them. I love my dog. I love all dogs. I'm a huge dog lover, so way better than people.
That's true. Sundown 95. I find it disheartening talking to friends. They shut me down because they don't want to acknowledge reality. I think it's too painful. It's easier for them to go to the restaurant and, just unwind.
Yeah, it's cognitive dissonance. If we want to get technical, it's cognitive dissonance. They're not willing to accept something that deviates from their worldview because it's terrifying to them, especially something as sensational as your government is fake. Yeah, totally fake. And it is. It really is. That's and I don't care, man.
Can I correct you there?
Sure.
It's fake and gay.
Fake and gay, 100%.
Alice not woke. Nobody ever calls me for polls. That's okay. We still love you. Clown World, I never in my entire life received a survey of anything. Man.
That's what I was kind of saying earlier. I probably did, but I wouldn't answer it and be like, oh, that's a spam call. Like, not accept, decline, obviously. And I think that's what most people do. So the people that are answering these phone calls in the first place, I question them just for answering. I don't respect your opinion.
If it's not in my phone book, I just don't bother answering. Even if it is, sometimes I still don't.
Yeah, me too, bro.
What is Majestic saying? The polls I've answered, they totally skew the questions. It's manufactured. The last one, I blocked the number because it just wasted my time asking. So yeah, I guess that's another tactic. They never poll the people who actually know what's going on. That's true. I've never gotten a poll.
I would like to get one, to be honest with you, at this point.
You could just answer it incorrectly. Like, what's your view on carbon tax? It's not enough. It's got to be higher. 100%. Unacceptable. Inflation is man-made. The economy is a sham. I learned this in school. They stopped teaching you, not me. I'm always learning. Yeah.
Well, just fiat currency. Like, just I implore people, just do some YouTubing. Do some YouTubing and some Googling regarding fiat currency, what that means, what that implies. We've essentially, designated a group of private bankers to have the ability to produce wealth out of thin air and loan it to our countries at an interest rate. And then we're shocked that some of us think they might have undue influence in our political systems. Well, of course they do. It's ludicrous to assume they don't.
You know, I never, amongst these like pro-Nazi guys, these people that support Hitler's financial system of just print money and print some more, never pay back. Like, how is that possible? Like, you've played Monopoly. Like, what if you just started giving, if somebody wanted to buy a property, like, here's some money, I have to pay rent, here's some more money. Like, it at some point, something's got to go wrong.
Well, I think it's a little more complex, man. Hitler had like the Deutsche Bank. It was like a national bank. And what he managed to do with it was turn the economy of the Weimar Republic, which was hyperinflation, they were just destitute. He turned it into one of the most economically powerful countries in the world. And that's what I believe is one of the biggest catalysts that war went as far as it did, because they couldn't let that stand. That was a major threat to central banking dominance, because people are going to say, well, hey, look at Germany. They're doing awesome. Why? Because they're not on this usury-based fiat fucking currency system. But we won't get into that.
Yeah, it's a longer conversation. Majestic. Many wars are just cover-ups for drugs, stuffing body bags with drugs. Maybe they do. I'm guessing it's a little bit deeper than that. I think wars are really about trade routes, sea maritime route, trade routes, and energy, because we need energy.
Well, when you get down to it, they're gangsters. Our governments are gangsters. And when they can get along, things can be prosperous, but it gets to a point where they don't, and that's when we see these wars. Just like you would see a gang war. It's like when you can't come to a conclusion that's mutually beneficial, you have a war.
You know, come to think of it, the only tax I could get behind is a war tax. So if you start a war, you have to pay tax. Make war unprofitable and you'll end it all.
You have to fight in it, man. If you're a politician and you're causing a war, you have to lead it. You have to get in there and fight. You have to. Put yourself at risk. Put your children in there. You want me to have some faith in your war? Get in there and fight it.
You move the parliament into enemy territory. All 343 gets shelled. Everybody cheers back at home. Rumble free. The system is the problem. We don't have a political party that represents us because it's impossible to represent constituents within this system. That's what we've been saying.
100%, brother. That's spot on. We've spoken to a lot of politicians, former politicians, and once they get in there, they're pressured by party whips. They're pressured by the party itself and the way it works to not represent. They don't even, most of them, I believe, don't even consider their constituents. It's not how it works, right?
Clown World says Mackenzie blocked her as well, but she supports Second Sons Canada, and she's got a question. What's wrong with the Patriot Front? What is that?
It's I can't think of the young gentleman's name. I just think they're potentially controlled opposition. I don't necessarily support it neither. I wouldn't say that. I don't really have strong feelings for or against it. I would be leery with that organization because, again, this is what the government does. Like when you look into PSYOPs, Operation Gladio, when you get into depth with these color revolutions, strategy of tensions, they set these organizations up. They could even be funding without even being known. Like people could be just useful going along with it. But I'm skeptical of everything. But yeah, that's what I would say is wrong with Patriot Front is if they're real, if they're absolutely legitimate, potentially nothing. If you're into this, I think we're in an era now where there's going to be white organizations. That's just the way it is. Why? Because white people are being immensely threatened right now and everyone else is being tribalistic, and you're going to see more of this 100%. I'm hesitant with the implications of it for me. And again, maybe I'm totally wrong. I'm not even making that claim. I'm hesitant. And Patriot Front, everyone said that. Like that was kind of, they were the first people going out with their American flags, their khakis and their blue work shirts and their masks. And yeah, it makes me skeptical. It makes me wonder for sure. I hope they're real. I hope they're legit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know Patriot Front, but I kind of struggle with this because on the one hand, I support specifically men, like being tough, living off the land, being sovereign, independent, standing up to the government, law enforcement. And then on the other hand, I don't feel comfortable. I would not feel comfortable if I was with my elderly parents and somebody from the Second Sons walked by with a balaclava on, and I struggle. I don't know where to draw the line.
Yeah, it's I don't know, man. Again, it's almost an inevitability that we're going to see more organizations like this. I'm even considering thinking of starting one, because then at least if I start it, I know that I'm not, I'm not a Fed. Then I mean, you got to watch who wants to fund it then, and you would have to watch who joins. I mean,
that's exactly what a Fed would say.
That's right.
Is China capitalist socialism 50-50? I've heard this. Have you? Where Russia is pure state capitalism, America is private capitalism, and China's 50-50.
Yeah, 100%. It's different than we think it is. It's different than what we're being told about. I have a few friends from China. I have one friend from China. Well, he was an older friend. I don't keep in contact with him. And I have a closer friend that dates a Chinese girl. He's been with her for a long time. He's lived in China. He's like, dude, it's nothing like they tell you. You have no idea. And I mean, it's apparently like we're sold a whole lot of propaganda about it. And I'm not trying to say, oh, China, like I know the history. And I understand our history too. But I'd like to go over and check it out. I've been saying that. I'm not joking. Like visa-free travel, I want to go. If I could afford it, I'd go to China and I'd check it out. I'd talk to people. I'd get the scoop.
You gotta eat that crazy Chinese food while you're there, or go to KFC.
KFC is big over there, evidently.
I've heard. Those that win wars rewrite history. Seems about right.
Yeah, the winners write history, 100%.
Rumble free. Parents are 30 years old. How old are you, sir? If your parents are 30 years old, they don't know any history and have been brainwashed themselves. Maybe he means 60.
Yeah, that has to be a typo. Yeah, well, I mean, and we've been propagandized. Like the stories that we were fed are to ensure that we're uninformed more so than being informed. So, I mean, that's something you have to be cognizant of.
Man, I did an interview with this Chinese individual, Andrew. His name was Andrew, and his whole thesis was the West. We in the West are the most propagandized people on the planet. I would disagree. I'd say Israel is, but beyond that, like it's so hard to figure out what's going on. For example, like the Iran of today is not the Iran of 1979. The China of today is not the China of Mao. The Russia of today is not the Russia of the Soviet Union. But we are presented this image that they still are.
Yeah, it's very beneficial to the ruling class, I believe, to keep us in this mind frame. And I guarantee you, it's very different. I'm not here trying to say like I genuinely don't know. If anything, I'm fine to express that. Like it's not being humble and kind of asserting that I don't know something that's dangerous. It would be dangerous if I was on here like with this faux certitude, which is what I see from everyone right now. And I put a lot of hours into this, and I know that they don't know, but yet they're selling it like they know, and that's dangerous. It's irresponsible, I think.
For people, the audience watching, JP's lying. He puts no time. We meet on Sundays. Mostly we drink beer. We don't prepare.
It's all bullshit.
Laurie F. The NDP Insane Asylum Conference shows the best of the degrees that are being shoveled out. That's true.
Man, it really is. We got to touch on that for a moment before we finish it off. Like that was something else. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like that in my life.
It was insane that video I put out of Truth Seek. The lady, she's got these massive ears, man,
and she said she's hearing impaired.
She has the nerve to say that she's hearing impaired. It's like you can hear colors from space.
Yeah, I saw that. That was hilarious.
Yeah, that conference was an absolute disaster. Even the I was going to say governor. What do we got? Premiers. The premier from Manitoba who came in. Even he must have been like, God damn it, man! Why am I in this awful party?
That guy, Wob Canoe, is that who you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, that dude, every time I see him speak, he looks like he is stoned out of his gourd. High as draft pussy. This guy, every time I see him, he's like totally Chinese eyed and he's like smiling and laughing and stuff. It's like, Jesus.
Yeah, he's a weird guy. And the madam, like the gendering, like you misgendered me. Well, you misgendered me first. Like point of privilege. Like instead of a point of order, they have point of privilege.
It seems like satire, but it shows the extent that the ideological subversion has went, and the people that are highly prone to falling for that, they have entirely. Like there's so many Canadians that actually think this way. You see them all over the place. It's wild.
Well, talked and see what if there's anything else. Never brushed my dog's teeth. Good for you. What else? Alice, no, I hang up when they have broken English. I do the same thing when somebody calls with a Russian accent. I'm calling from TELUS. I'm like, no, you're not.
Russian? I've never got a Russian accent.
I've made some bad crypto investments ever since then. They've been calling me. Edmund says, I have a friend who was brainwashed by the Conservative Party. He came to my house, connected his phone to my TV so we could watch the Joe Rogan and Pierre interview. Jesus.
Sad.
Yeah. Pierre Poilievre, chill. I think we're getting to the end. Diary of an Economic Hitman. What wasn't it? Wasn't it something else? Confessions of an Economic Hitman?
That's the book. Is that the book about Trudeau?
No, Confessions of an Economic Hitman is by John Perkins. He's basically saying that he worked for the IMF. His job was to go around and just subvert countries economically. If that didn't work, they send the CIA. If that doesn't work, they send in the Marines.
Interesting. Yeah, the IMF is like all tied in with the intelligence agencies and everything. It's just a tool of theirs.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's sort of what Matt Arrett and Cynthia Chung are trying to say. So here we got two audience members with different opposing views. Just Me Jamie says, anyone who wears a mask to cover their face is an issue. Clown World says, Peyman, Second Sons Canada is not a threat to us. I don't know anything about Second Sons. I don't want to say they are a threat, but I have the same view as Jamie. Like, it's not a good thing. If you cover your face, the end result is you're going to get more Antifa covering their face.
Yeah, and I want to say too, like, I really don't know. I don't know anyone who's in the Second Sons. I don't know what they're really about beyond what I hear, and a lot of it's seemingly hyperbole. I see a lot of things that are very questionable. It seems like it's like edgelording a little bit. But it just, for me, I don't trust it enough to have anything to do with the organization. I would talk to someone from the organization though. Jeremy McKenzie, if you want to unblock me and come on, man, and have a conversation, be willing to do that.
Three of us share a jail cell together.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that's fucking coming anyway.
Yeah, we're joking, but we won't be joking when we're fighting for our lives in the showers. Kirk Reese, good evening, gents. Stay awesome. Good evening, Kirk. Is that it? Are we done? That NDP was Twilight Zone. It was.
Yeah, 100%, man. It was truly surreal and in a scary way.
Well, we're at the end of the comments. We went for 2 hours. These conversations, they're pretty fun, in my opinion.
We keep it informal and loose, and we interact with people to the best of our ability.
Yeah.
Don't drop the soap, that's for sure. Don't get in the shower. Forget that shit.
I knew a girl once. She got busted in Canada for selling drugs, and I never asked her what, but I got the impression it was meth. And she did hard time in federal prison.
Jesus, was this a girlfriend payment?
No comment. Yeah, I can't give the details are way worse, but I can't because then people might figure out who she is. Alice Not Woke, you're most welcome. Unacceptable. It was great. Thank you for tuning in. Any last words, JP?
I just want to thank you guys for coming out and interacting. It's definitely a little rough to continue to justify pouring so much time into this, considering the level we're deboosted. But having such a loyal, if not small, but loyal group of people that watch every week, it definitely provides enough incentive to continue. So I just want to genuinely thank you, all you guys, for coming out and supporting.
And I got my Rockstar gaming chair, so my ass isn't going flat after 2 hours of sitting on the board. So I'm happy.
Nice. So we got a cool outro too to play for the first time.
Yeah. And the individual who made the video, she is in the audience. So thank you very much for making this. And you're welcome, Clown World. Okay, bye. See you later,
Thank you very
JP.
much. Cheers, guys.